Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be checking out a premium Bandai model kit here from Bandai, P-Bandai HG Gunpla kit, which you might not guess it by looking at the front because it's one of those P-Bandai releases where you have full box art on it, but this is of course the Gundam Zirius from the recently started Gundam 8 manga series. So certainly a very interesting design. I've not seen much of the manga so far, just a couple little bits and pieces here and there. Let me know if you guys have started reading it at all, or if you're following it at all, what you think of the story anyway. But as far as the kit goes, that's what we're here to find out here for today's video. But special shout out to Patrick, friend of the channel, who sent this to me to build and share with you guys. So thank you as always, Patrick, and let's go ahead and get into it here for today's video. And so yeah, typically with a premium Bandai kit, this is where I say, well, there's not much to see here on the outside of the box, but in this case, like I said, we've got full box art, including sample poses and everything here on the side of the box, not just box art on the front. But the box art on the front does look really cool. There you can see all the feathers flying around the Zirius. Again, I'm not too hip on the lore of the Gundam, but as I believe I've heard about it, these feathers are basically kind of little bits that it can generate an infinite amount of there from the Gundam, from like those Godzilla looking fins that it's got on its back. But it's a very finny design, very, very unique, something that I think is certainly interesting. It'll be interesting to see kind of what's the fans' reaction to something like this. Bandai certainly has been kind of pushing the boundaries of their Gundam designs over the last couple series, and it's something I definitely welcome and look forward to more of in the future. But here on the side of the box, you can see we've got the Gundam 8 logo and just kind of everything that you would normally have for like a regular HG box. No numbering of with this being like number 1 in the series or anything like that, other than like the mobile suit's actual number having a 1 in it. So it's fair to say we're probably not going to be getting any more kits from this series, but who knows, maybe. With them being premium Bandai releases, it does kind of make sense that maybe they're just not going to number them on the box. But here you can see what the kit is going to look like, all built and painted there front and back. Again, there's those really cool fins it's got out the back. Here we can see in a couple different action poses. Looks like its weapon loadout's going to be fairly standard: beam sabers, beam rifle, shield, but of course you just have those very unique fins on the backside. And so here it is in the light armor state, kind of without a lot of the armor on it. So that's kind of cool. That's an option, how you could display it if you wanted to. I think most people are probably not going to opt for that, but here we have the contents of the set. Like I said, all sort of standard. Looks like we have 6 beam saber handles, although you really are only ever going to be able to use 2 at a time. On the other side here, the official image here for the Gundam 8 manga series, and then a little bit of information there about it, which is here in Japanese and in English, surprisingly, which is really cool. I know that's like standard these days, but again, for a premium Bandai release, honestly, that is a little bit surprising. I would have kind of expected that it would just only be in Japanese, but very cool nonetheless. Let's go ahead and pop it open, check out our contents inside. Here all looks, yeah, like pretty standard, like it would just be a normal release HG. Here we have our instruction manual, which, like with any different like HG series of kits, it does kind of have its own style. It's not exactly like any other style we've seen, so it's kind of unique in that here at the top we've got our titling and the photos of the kit front and back, built and painted, and then our information down here at the bottom, which again is all in Japanese and in English. The being formatted like this is going to be kind of hard for me to show it to you all at once in a way that you guys could actually pause the video and read that, but I'm sure that information is all out there online. On the back side, some more images showing the different poses and armaments, a little bit here about the feather extension. So yeah, there you go, you can read about the feather extension. That's what's going to be out the back. The beam rifle is going to be there, handheld, and the beam sabers, of course, all kind of standard Gundam fare. We've got the shield here as well, which does have a pretty cool design on that. And then at the bottom, with it being the lead Gundam, we've got typical lead Gundam colors here, the tricolors, with the blue being a little bit darker blue, it looks like, but otherwise kind of red, yellow, blue with white and just gray for the frame. So all pretty standard Gundam stuff. On the inside here, where's the parts list? We'll find it eventually. On the back side, it's all going to be in black and white, where there's our parts list and the first half of the construction through actually most of the body, but then we go back to our color pages here. That's finishing up the construction there with the feather parts, the backpack, the weapons, and then finishing off with the weapons and equipping them. And that's about it, looks like, here for the instructions. We do have a couple of foil stickers here. It looks like basically just little camera bits there in green and for the eyes, and that's it. So no color correcting stickers other than just these foil green ones there for the cameras. Very cool. Getting into the runners then, we've got some polycaps, PC002 for our polycap runner here, very familiar polycap runner, and SB13 here for our beam saber effect parts there in a clear pink. Runner A is going to be in 4 colors: white, yellow, red, and and then that little bit darker blue over here on the side. Runner B1 and B2 going to be the rest of our white colored parts here. Runner B2 is a copy of this half of the runner there like that. Runners C and D are going to be all of our gray parts for the frame and joint parts, some parts for the weapons and all that here. Runner C and runner D, we have 2 of those. That's all of our gray parts there for the kit. And lastly, runners E1 and E2 are going to be our feather bits, and there's a part like for the shield in here as well, so a couple other bits on there. But this is in this really cool iridescent bluish purplish kind of clear plastic color here. Like we've seen Bandai using this kind of iridescent effect on some of their clear parts on some recent releases, and it does look really, really cool. If you're wondering if it's at all UV reactive, it looks like it is not. Yeah, and that's been my experience. Usually when they do this iridescent injected plastic, it looks really cool, but I don't believe that there's been a release, at least as far as I can remember, that had this effect and it was also UV reactive. So it's usually just kind of not something that they double up on, it seems like maybe. Alright guys, and so here is the kit all built up. I really like the sleek design of this without all the extra armor. We'll add all that stuff on here in just a minute once we go through talking about some of the accessories, which is going to include all of the extra armor and then the weapons and other accessories that we've got here with this. But man, this is yet another example of a premium Bandai exclusive kit that's completely original and completely awesome. It was a really, really fun build. The color separation and just like the engineering on this kit is just really nice, very simple, but super effective just in the way the parts are designed for all the details, the color separation there. You don't have like a full inner frame, but you have most of an inner frame there, just because this is very similar to like an IBO Gundam in that it has a lot of exposed inner frame, so there's obviously going to have to be a lot of frame parts for this kit. And yeah, similarities to an IBO Gundam don't end there. It's something that I'll touch on some more later, but let's go ahead and check out those accessories. So first off, just want to mention about our hand options. These holding hands are the only hands that we're going to get, so while the kit is fantastic and there's a lot of things that I'm going to praise about it, it's still going to be the victim of a typical high grade where we just only have these holding hands and that's all. So really wish that Bandai would start getting on that. But here we've got its very uniquely designed rifle with those clear iridescent clear parts in the barrel and then underneath right here. It's a really strange, unique design, and it looks like it might have more moving parts, but it actually doesn't. It's all pretty much just fixed in place like this. This doesn't like close up or anything or open up any further than what you see here. That's just kind of what it is. You do have that sticker up there for the camera lens, and kind of odd just kind of how that's extended up too. I mean, I've not read the manga, so I don't know, but I would assume that this kind of all folds up more. Maybe if someday if we ever get like a larger 1/100 scale version of this, which I highly doubt, but if we do, I can imagine this will probably collapse and close up, basically like for storage or something like that, I guess. I'm not sure. And then we have the shield, which is also really nice with the use of the iridescent parts here at the tip. And then you also have this gray part for the back, which is really nice. And then there's little bits of that poke through for the vents here, and then up at the front as well. You have a sticker on this one as well, a little green sticker up there at the top. And just nice, simple design. This is going to plug onto the side of the arm and use a handle, so you kind of don't really need to use both. If you didn't want to use the handle, you wanted to keep the hand free for holding a beam saber or something like that, you can just omit that, just only have it plugged onto the side of the arm. And then obviously because this handle can be switched around to the other side, you could use this on either the left or the right side. It doesn't matter if you wanted to switch it up. Then we also have our clear pink beam saber effect parts for the beam sabers, which are going to be a part of the additional equipment and armor that's going to be added onto this. Before we get to that, I just want to talk a little bit about the base kit here a little bit more before we add the armor and stuff onto it. As you can see, our other stickers are just going to be for the cameras on the head up there, cameras for the chest, and then eye stickers there of course as well. There's one in the middle of the chest right there, which does look really nice, and then one on the back of the head. So basically all the stickers we have for this are just for little green cameras and eyes, just kind of around everywhere on the kit and on the accessories. Now, as I mentioned, the color separation just really nice, especially here. I mean, in the head, color separation on an HG kit and like the head area has really been something that Bandai's been like doing really well for the past few years especially, but to have that carried over into the chest as well, you have just some really nice color separation with the gray part in the middle even coming out like between the white parts there and like the side of the torso. Obviously the yellow and red parts here around the chest, and then the little gray parts on the inside coming out in different areas. So the chest as well as the head look really nice there when it comes to the detail and part separation. The arms and legs are going to be quite plain looking. You do have the yellow part there and the knee, it's a separated part, and then down here to the feet. I mean, there's not a ton of part separation just because there's not really a lot going on with the design. It's a fairly simple design, and it builds like that as well, and it's going to be pretty simple in terms of the articulation. And so we do have some simple points of the articulation here as well, like for the elbow joint, it's just a single joint there. It does give you maybe slightly more than 90 degrees, but not much. Down here, the leg's a little bit better. It is just a single joint there for the knee, but it gives you a really nice range of movement just because it kind of doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Just because it's so slim, we are going to add more stuff onto it. Another point that was quite interesting is that the hip joint here is just a straight peg right there. What we're seeing on a lot of modern high grades is some sort of a hip joint peg that will swing back and forth or something like that, but not the case this time. There is no skirt armor, at least at the moment, that you need to worry about. So I mean, there's no need to add additional engineering to make the articulation any more than what it already is, because it's already free to move all the way forward, all the way back, all the way out to the side. So they really didn't need to add anything else into the hip section. So it's kind of nice, but certainly interesting. Here at the feet, I really like the foot design, kind of like a shoe, sound like a sneaker. You have full detail underneath, no hollow gaps there. The toe that will point down a little bit and then up a little bit there, and then the foot is basically just on a ball joint, so we'll just move around a little bit there. So the articulation is like very basic. Like I was saying, the build overall is quite simple but very effective. Even though with like the single joints in the elbows, single joints in the knees, you might hear that and shudder, but you're going to have a pretty plenty enough range of articulation for this, I feel like. Now, obviously, another thing about the design you'll notice is that it just has hard points all over the place, and that's for all of our armor and stuff that we're going to add on to this. So, not really starting with anything in particular, but here we have the back skirt piece, which is just a couple of parts there. That's just going to plug right onto the back. Similarly, here at the front skirt, just a couple pieces that are going to plug right into the sides of that waist bit, just like that for our front skirt armor. And the sort of side skirt section where the beam sabers are stored is actually not connected to the hip section. It's actually connected to like the bottom of the torso there, as you can see. So it's kind of unique. It's going to plug right onto there. And then we've got these additional armor parts here, which are going to plug onto the side of the thigh right there. Onto the front of the thigh with these two holes, you're going to plug this armor plate right there, which gives us kind of this extended part out where sort of the knee is. And then down here at the ankle, we have this big bit of kind of complex looking ankle armor, which is just going to plug right onto the front of there, like that. Here on the side of the arm, we're going to connect this part here, a couple more green stickers for the little camera bits on these parts on the side of the arm there. And then up here on the shoulder, again, really nice color separation for the yellow vent inside these pieces that are going to plug up onto there like that. And then last but certainly not least, here around on the back for our backpacks, just going to be a single peg right there, which is quite interesting, but this is going to give us like the backpack with the fin feathers, and then also these kind of like thruster bits here that are going to stick out the back, sort of similar to like the GPO3, I guess, in a way. As you can see, we've got more beam saber handles here on the backpack, so we're going to have a total of 6, but obviously you're only ever going to be able to use 2. These feather extensions do look really cool. I wish that they would have been more UV reactive, but unfortunately not. They still look really nice with that iridescent look, and that's just going to plug straight into the back there. And then you can kind of adjust that. You can move that up and down. You can move like each section up and down as well, like that. This section can move up. The one thing is you can't like spread them out to the side at all. These parts just only kind of move up and down. As you can see, these side parts are connected via a little arm there that will also move up and down, and they're on ball joints. So you're not going to get like a ton of movement out of that, but you can sort of move those a little bit side to side, just sort of change the angle of these parts slightly. And so yeah, taking a look at it in a few different poses here, I'll just go back to what I was saying before, is that it really reminds me a lot of something that would exist as a Gundam from the Iron Blooded Orphans universe, just because of the design of the Gundam, just having like the quite large and quite high knee parts and thigh, like where the knee kind of blends into the thigh, kind of quite high up on the leg, having quite big feet there too, having a lot of the exposed inner frame. Just a lot of the design of this just really reminds me a lot of an Iron Blooded Orphans Gundam. And so it's not at all a bad thing or a good thing necessarily. I mean, it's just kind of up to you, just something that I noticed about the design. But obviously when it comes to like the feathers out the back, that's not something that we would see in Iron Blooded Orphans. And then the weaponry as well, the beam sabers and the beam rifle, obviously beam weapons not being a thing commonly used in Iron Blooded Orphans either. That's where the similarity is definitely going to break down. But some of the elements of this also kind of give me like an Advance of Zeta vibe too, especially like with like some like the vent areas around like the lower legs, like the shoulders, some parts there. So it's sort of like an Iron Blooded Orphans meets Advance of Zeta sort of design there. Quite unique to be sure, and the feathers at the back are kind of the most unique aspect of this. Certainly very different, certainly something that I think are going to draw the most attention, just with those being these big clear fin parts sticking out the back. It's definitely a unique aspect of the design for sure. But let me know, what do you guys think about the design? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it like a little bit too weird for you? I like when Bandai tries more different designs like this. Obviously, I wish that it was a standard release and not a premium Bandai release. It's something that is like very unique. So maybe I guess the thought was that, you know, it's from a new manga and it's a kind of different design. So maybe they were unsure if like the general public was gonna really be a fan of the design. I don't know, but if you guys are able to get your hands on this kit for a decent price, I would highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's really fun. A lot of value in this. I guess with it really kind of having only like the standard accessories with the beam sabers, beam rifle, shield combination, but then the armor is quite unique and it is a pretty fun aspect to this. I figure most people are probably just going to want to keep it with the armor on most of the time, but I do really like the look of it with the armor off. It does make for a cool look. You can maybe display it in some sort of like a armor cast off sort of display. Something might be kind of cool. But yeah, like I said, guys, let me know your thoughts. If you want to check out some more Gunpla for yourself, check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We got lots of great Gunpla there on the site. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're not yet subscribed, you can subscribe there below as well. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video here today, and I'll see you next time. Later.